Today, we are opening up the sources on a truly daring figure from the ancient world, Anaxagoras of CLAZOMENAE.
Yeah, born around 500 BCE. He's this pivotal figure, a philosopher, a mathematician, an astronomer.
And he's so important because he basically picks up this whole rational scientific tradition from Ionia.
Which was the philosophical powerhouse, started with Thales.
Right, and he just plants it right in the middle of Athens. He really sets the stage for everyone who comes after him.
Absolutely, for Plato, for Aristotle, all of them.
But the real core of his story, and why we're doing this deep dive, is the incredible conflict that just defined his life. On one hand, he's the founder of the Athenian philosophical school. On the other, he's accused of impiety, he's facing a death sentence, and he's exiled.
And his crime wasn't political? It wasn't treason or some kind of conspiracy?
No, his crime was science, radical science.
So that's our mission today. We need to unpack the doctrines that made him so dangerous. We have to get into his whole theory of seeds, the homoeomeries.
And this organizing principle he came up with, Nous, or mind.
Exactly. And more than that, we need to understand how these purely scientific ideas could clash so badly with Athenian religion and politics that they literally became a weapon.
Okay, so let's start with the man himself. He was born into, immense wealth in a town called CLAZOMENAE.
A really prosperous Ionian coastal city. His father, Hegesibulus, left him a massive inheritance. Lands, money, the works.
But Anaxagoras just didn't care.
Not at all. The sources are so clear about this. He had this total indifference to practical life. His only passion was scientific inquiry.
So much so that he just decides managing his estate is a complete distraction from studying the cosmos.
And then he does the unthinkable. He just cedes his entire inheritance to his relatives.
Everything. The land, the money.
Everything. He walks away, leaves CLAZOMENAE, and starts traveling. He's literally trading all that status and security for what he called the inner freedom a philosopher needs.
And that journey eventually leads him to Athens.
And this move, it wasn't just him changing addresses. It was a landmark moment, intellectually. It's the moment that serious Ionian science officially arrives on Attic soil.
Before him, Athens was
What?
a center for art, war, politics.
But not really natural philosophy, not in this serious, systematic way. Anaxagoras was there first.
And he does found the Athenian philosophical school. He has students like Archelaus, who was actually Athenian. But we have to remember, Anaxagoras himself was a metic.
A foreigner.
Right. He had no citizen rights, no political power, no real protection.
And that vulnerability is absolutely key to his story. But for a while, his mind was his currency. He became a major player in the spiritual elite of Athens.
Mostly because of his friendship with Pericles.
The leading statesman in Athens, the effective ruler, Pericles deeply respected his counsel.
And this wasn't just a private friendship. Anaxagoras was part of that famous intellectual circle.
The one organized by Aspasia, Pericles' brilliant and very controversial partner.
Yes. And that circle was the absolute epicenter of culture. You had Euripides, the playwright, Phidias, the sculptor.
And we know for a fact that Anaxagoras' ideas, his rationalism, started showing up in Euripides' plays. So his influence was spreading from private conversations into public culture.
Which is always a dangerous move.
A very risky transition.
And that prominence is what painted a giant target on his back when the political climate soured.
Exactly. So by the late 430s BCE, the Peloponnesian War is looming. Pericles' position is starting to look a little shaky.
And his political opponents, they want him gone. But it's hard to attack Pericles directly. He's too popular.
So they start a proxy war, they go after the people closest to him.
His friends. Phidias is accused of embezzlement. Aspasia faces charges of immorality. And Anaxagoras?
They hit him with the most serious spiritual charge you could level in Athens.
Asapia. Impiety. And the charge was specifically for what? For his astronomical teachings?
For spreading theories that contradicted traditional religion. It was a political hit job, plain and simple. Using religious fear to undermine Pericles' entire intellectual circle.
And Anaxagoras, the foreigner, the metic, he was the weakest link.
He was facing a death sentence, which tells you just how seriously they took this stuff. The idea of replacing divine beings with physical explanations was not a game.
But Pericles helped him. He managed to flee Athens in secret around 431 BCE.
And he ends up spending his last years in a city called Lampsacus, a big trading hub. And here's the irony.
The city that rejected him.
Well, Lampsacus revered him. When he died in 428 BCE, the citizens there were so grateful he'd lived among them, they started holding annual children's festivals in his memory for a long, long time.
Incredible. So let's get to the ideas. What was so dangerous? He was building on the Milesians, but he had this big problem to solve, right? From Parmenides.
Yes, the problem of change. If being is one and nothing can come from nothing, then how does anything change? How does bread become muscle?
So this is where his theory of the seeds comes in.
Yeah, right. He says, forget one single element, like water or air. The basis of the world is an infinite number of tiny material particles, the seeds of things, homoeomeries.
So how did that solve the problem of change?
Because for Anaxagoras, nothing is ever created or destroyed, it's just rearranged. Matter is eternal. So when you eat bread and it becomes muscle, the muscle seeds didn't just pop into existence.
They were already in the bread.
Exactly, they were already there, just in such tiny amounts you couldn't perceive them.
Ah, so that's the all in all and from everything idea. Every single thing contains the seeds of every other thing.
You got it. A piece of bone contains seeds of gold and seeds of meat and seeds of hair, but the bone seeds dominate, so we perceive it as bone. The universe is just saturated with every possibility at all times.
Okay, but if you have all these infinite seeds just mixed together in some initial chaos, something has to get them moving, right? They're inert on their own.
That is the crucial question, and his answer is nous, the mind or intellect.
And what does Nous do?
Nous is the moving principle. It's what initiates a great cosmic vortex, a rotation, that starts to separate and combine the seeds, creating the order we see in the cosmos. It's the cause of world orderliness.
But what is Nous? Later philosophers like Plato saw this and thought, a spiritual principle, the source of purpose and good.
Yeah, they did, and they were kind of disappointed in Anaxagoras. Because he didn't quite go that far, he described Nous as something separate from the seeds. Sure, it was pure, unmixed, powerful.
Right.
But he also describes it as a kind of material mechanical force. It gets the ball rolling, it starts the cosmic spin, but it doesn't seem to be a moral architect guiding everything for the best.
So he introduces this brilliant concept of an ordering mind, but then he only uses it as like a cosmic Kickstarter.
Pretty much. Plato says Socrates was thrilled when he first heard about it, thinking he'd finally get an explanation for why the world is arranged the way it is.
But he didn't get one.
No. He was disappointed to find Anaxagoras just used nous to start the motion, and then went right back to explaining everything with physical causes: air, ether, water, and so on.
It's such a fascinating middle ground, though. He's trying to fuse the materialism of the Ionians with this need for an intelligent ordering principle.
It's a bridge, absolutely. And this focus on intellect, on nous, it carried over into a theory of knowledge, too. He thought our senses were important, but ultimately they were unreliable.
Because they can't perceive the seeds themselves.
Exactly. You can only grasp the true structure of reality, the all in all, by using your intellect, your human nous.
Which takes us right to the heavens, to the cosmology that got him arrested.
Yep. If reality is all about material seeds and mechanical forces, then the sky, the stars, the sun, they must be physical too, not divine.
There's this quote where someone asked him why it was better to be born than not, and he supposedly said,
To contemplate the sky and the structure of the entire cosmos. Beautiful, right? Almost poetic.
But his conclusions were anything but poetic to the Athenians. They were blasphemy.
Total blasphemy. I mean, you have to remember, the state religion saw the sun as the god Helios driving a chariot across the sky.
Anaxagoras comes along and says,
He says the stars are not gods. They are red-hot stones that were torn from the earth by the cosmic rotation.
And the sun.
The sun is an enormous, blazing mass of stone, maybe even bigger than the whole Peloponnese.
Wow. And the moon.
The moon isn't a goddess either. It's a body just like the earth. It reflects sunlight, and it might even be inhabited.
Okay, that is radical. He's literally replacing gods with geology and physics. That's the definition of aceibia.
It strips the entire heavens of their divinity. You go from gods guiding your fate to just hot rocks spinning in space. And in a time of political stress, an idea like that becomes a real threat.
And then he gets this incredible, spectacular confirmation of his theory.
Yes, the famous meteorite at Aigos Potamoi.
So the story goes that he predicted it.
Right, that's the popular version, but it's a bit of a simplification. What the better sources, like Plutarch, suggest is that he didn't predict the specific time and place.
So what did he predict?
He predicted the possibility. Based on his theory that the heavens were made of stone, he argued that it was possible for a piece to break loose if it was shaken and fall to earth.
So when this giant meteorite actually comes crashing down,
It was stunning, visible proof of his theory. It was the physical evidence that his crazy idea that the heavens were made of rocks was actually right.
it grounded his whole cosmology in reality. I read that he probably even went to the site to see it.
Which just shows you what a true scientist he was, connecting theory to observation. And, his book was actually really popular in Athens, despite the controversy. Plato says it was considered a sign of ignorance if you hadn't read it.
Let's finish up by talking about the man himself, the persona. He really was a new kind of person for Greece at the time, wasn't he?
A completely new type, the professional scientist. He was totally dedicated to knowledge, not like the earlier philosophers who were also statesmen or religious figures.
And his character just perfectly mirrored his philosophy. Detached, rational, above it all.
The anecdotes about him are amazing. Someone asked him if he cared about his homeland, CLAZOMENAE, and he just points to the sky.
And says, my homeland even very much interests me. His citizenship was cosmic.
Right. And then on his deathbed, when they ask if his body should be sent back home, he just says, "There is no need, for the path to the underworld is equally long from everywhere."
It's such an incredible level of detachment. For him, giving away his fortune wasn't a loss, it was a gain.
The freedom to think. Aristotle noted that Anaxagoras was clear that neither the rich nor the powerful were happy. Happiness was contemplation.
And he was legendarily serious, never seen smiling or laughing, which might explain why he and Socrates, who lived in the same city, apparently never spoke.
And that stoicism, before the Stoics, comes through so strongly. When he was told his son had died, what did he say?
I knew I'd given birth to a mortal. Just complete composure.
And even when he heard about his own death sentence back in Athens, he was just as calm. He said, "Nature long ago sentenced me and them, the judges, to death."
He saw his own life and death as just another part of the natural ordered process of the universe, not a political tragedy.
So his legacy is immense. He brought this idea of an intelligent principle, Nous, into materialism. He defined the world through this infinite mixture of matter. And he paid the price for saying the heavens were just physics.
He brought philosophy to Athens, and he put the mind, both the cosmic mind and the human mind, right at the center of how we understand reality.
And we're left with this powerful image of a man exiled for claiming the sun was a rock India that is now, just a basic fact for us, which really raises a question for you, for the listener.
Go on.
If profound knowledge so often requires this level of confrontation, this kind of personal sacrifice against deeply held beliefs, what contemporary scientific idea, one that seems completely absurd or even offensive to most people today, might future generations just accept as simple, obvious truth?
Join us and keep your curiosity well fed. Who knows? The next video might be exactly what you didn't know you needed.